All right, here in Williamsburg, Brooklyn, there's a sandwich that's getting a lot of buzz. Shout out to my boy Dukes. It's Fedorov's roast pork. So I brought the best Philly guy I know, Rone.
That's nice.
I hope you brought a good stomach as well.
I'm ready, dude.
All
I
right.
fasted for this. I'm prepared for this.
All right, perfect. So we're gonna see healthy debate. Is the roast pork in Brooklyn as good as it is in Philly?
Side healthy debate is roast pork the true Philly sandwich over a cheesesteak.
I think it's a cheesesteak, but you know better than me. So what defines a roast pork, or why roast pork?
I don't know why, but there's a couple places in Philly, John's Roast Pork, the Nick's. These are like quintessential Philly sandwiches. And I think that if you look at your classic South Philly guy, wife beater, like saving his parking spot with 2 folding chairs or something.
The worst.
We're up by 10, we got cocky, and it fucking sucked.
But I think that guy, the roast pork, is the main Philly sandwich. I know that the cheesesteak has gotten more fanfare because I think fewer people eat pork. Some people are like, the dirty animal, whatever.
Right.
People have problems with pork. You eat pork?
I do eat pork. When you get a good pork, you get a good pork.
Yeah,
Can't, there's no denying, but it's not as commercialized as cheesesteak. People know what's in the cheesesteak. It's very simple to understand.
Yes, exactly.
I feel like roast pork is,
steak.
yeah.
But this is gonna probably be some thinly sliced pork would be my guess. Maybe some long hot peppers. Can you handle the heat?
I can handle the heat.
Let's go. Well, I think maybe we get one of both because I think this spot is legit.
Yeah, it looks like a joint from everything I've seen from the outside. It's got an old sign, like that's what we want when we walk into a place
Good
like
floor,
this.
like it has some kind of cool tile pattern on the floor. It just feels like a throwback to a foregone era. What do you know about this neighborhood over here?
Not much.
Bedford
you know, I know
Avenue?
my brother and sister live in Williamsburg in the area. I've been around. My brother plays
I didn't know you're Jewish.
I'd like to thank Rico Bosco for bringing a whole plate of meat on Yom Kippur and stuffing his face. Very kind of you, Rico.
This is culturally insensitive food.
All right.
I didn't know what the day was.
Yeah,
You
think about yourself.
My brother plays in a softball league that's been around for like 40 years in a rundown like park. Once a year we go to a game and make a day out of it. It's got its heart, you know what I mean? It's like it's another neighborhood of Brooklyn that was probably on its way out at one point, like Bedford Avenue. If you take Bedford Avenue the wrong way, back in the day, you were walking into some dicey spots.
So look right over here. This is like a microcosm of the neighborhood. On the right, old ass fucking building, like probably built in like the 1930s, right next to a brand new house. Like that's like exactly, completely exemplifies it. A lot of people moving in.
I think the best way to
money.
describe Williamsburg is like hidden gems as well.
True.
You got a place like this, there's vintage stores, like you got people riding their bikes, you got a softball league for 40 years. Like
Yes, hundreds of restaurants.
very hard because you can't just drive down here. Like the parking is that bad, so it always shies away from people coming from different boroughs and stuff like that. But it's got a lot of identity in a place like this.
Yeah, for sure. Tiny roads, like everything is pretty tight, but also you'll just find like, you know, cool little record shops, like little vintage whatever shops.
What made you decide this area when you were moving down here?
So I never lived in Williamsburg. I lived in Greenpoint, which is right over there, and I lived in Bushwick, which is right over there.
All the same vibe.
Yeah, similar vibe. I mean, this is like right on the water, so it's a little bit more developed. You might get some more fleece vests.
Yeah, vintage right here.
Pros, yeah, vintage, you know what I mean? It's all over the place. Manhattan feels like very closed in, so when I moved up from Philly, I wanted something that's a little bit more spread out. A lot of places in Brooklyn feel like Philly to me. There's like kind of like a similar vibe, the types of houses, the types of restaurants, the types of people. And it was a little bit cheaper, you know what I mean?
That
Save
makes
a little
sense.
bit money.
Yeah, I also would argue that in Manhattan itself, you don't really have a neighborhood. I think you live in a section, but it's not a neighborhood. This is a neighborhood.
This area kind of turns into a popular, I mean, people don't really throw around the word hipster as much anymore, but that was the vibe here. And it was like attractive to people like almost internationally. Like Justin Bieber would move here and he'd be living in Williamsburg. This would attract all types of the famous people, the movers and shakers.
Right.
There's some nightlife. It's young, it's popular, it's trendy.
I mean, this is what you're looking for.
There's Fedorov's, there it is. South Philly Italian sandwiches.
So you don't get a sign like that unless you've been around forever.
You can't get it weathered like that, even in a city like this. I mean, they gotta have to have been around for what, 80s, 70s, maybe longer.
I don't know, it's amazing I never heard about a place like this.
Fedorov's.
All right.
Should we check it out?
Yeah, let's go. Brothers enjoying a free meal.
I love that. Happy for them.
Ray Liotta, this is what you want.
Yeah, only.
You want this, 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 or this.
How about the scrapple too, bro?
You know, I haven't had scrapple.
Really?
No.
Do you know what it is?
No.
Nobody does. I think it's everything. They throw everything and just press it down into a patty. Pork roll, that's another Philly term, not Taylor ham, pork roll. I mean, this is Philly as hell.
How long you guys been around?
This storefront's been here since 2015.
So why is the sign so beat up?
Yeah, it's just aesthetic.
Oh, okay, it is. They fake the sign. You got it on eBay? Yeah. That's amazing.
Yeah, it's the way to go. So what do you want to go? Halvesies on a roast pork and cheesesteak?
Yeah. Can we just get like a side of scrapple just to see what it's about?
You just want the scrapple on top?
Yeah,
Like a little bit,
Yeah, I'll see if
yeah. Never tried it. You know what's in it?
I swear to God, it's just like pork. I think it's just like the other parts, like the innards and the feet and like everything. Just like you just charge us for the whole sandwich. We'll put it on the company card. You know what I mean?
Anything else for you guys?
No, I think that's it.
If you ever want to fool somebody from Philly, or if you want to see if somebody's really from Philly, you say like, yeah, I was over on 14th Street. And if they don't stop for a second and say, what the hell are you talking about? Then you know they're not really from Philly. Because you look at this map, you got 15th Street right here, you got 13th Street right here. But bro, you don't have a 14th Street in Philly. Broad just cuts it all out.
So 14th Street in Philly.
Doesn't exist.
All right.
I wonder if they have the folding chairs for the parking spaces on the actual map.
What do you think about the Birds this year?
I believe.
You got the quarterback that's the guy. The only question now, you lose the offensive line.
I think that there's questions if he was the guy though. Because you look at the record, what are they, 11-6, 10 the year. They started off 10-1. By the end of the season, they're one of the worst teams in the entire league.
Yeah, they blew the lead. They blew the division.
It was like, they wind up 1-6. They get blown out by the Bucks. Breaks my heart. Stephen Che is running victory laps, gloating.
Hey, Stephen Che, it's Giovanni Bernard.
Bucks aren't good.
No.
The Eagles were bad.
No.
But I think what helps them is they get rid of the defensive coordinator, bring in Vic Fangio, get rid of the offensive coordinator, bring in Kellen Moore. I think you're in a good spot. You run a little bit more motion, draft a bunch of defensive backs. They got a white cornerback. From Iowa?
Yes.
That's a game changer.
We were going to ask Jeff Fisher about that because he was a white corner himself.
He was?
Yeah, he was a white corner on the 85 Bears.
He was?
Yeah. He was
What the
returning
hell?
kicks too, but he was a white corner.
He's going to be a beast.
Perfect.
Thank you, bro. This is what we're working with. Scrapple.
Yo, I hate that I'm saying this.
It's not bad?
It's fucking good.
Yeah, dude, it's not bad. For the most part, it's going to taste like this. Piping hot, but it's just like a random, it's basically mystery meat in a patty.
It's good though.
It plays, but that was just a side project. That's not the main project.
We take Glenny to a roast beef. He's like, I want it leaking. You go in fresh much, you want it wet. What are you looking for when you open up a roast pork?
I want it to be relatively dry. I want my good bread
Relatively
to meat ratio.
dry?
I mean, I don't want it to be soaking wet.
Okay.
For example, the Chicago beef, you want that to intentionally be dipped, soaked, wet as possible. I want it to be at least approachable. That's a good looking
Cheesesteak's really good looking.
The whiz.
That's strong.
I think one of the most important things is there cheese throughout the sandwich?
Yeah.
Sometimes they'll just throw the cheese on the outside of the sandwich, it coats the meat, and then the meat in the middle is dry. Is it throughout the sandwich? That looks like it's throughout the sandwich right here. And then with the roast pork, I mean, we gotta be seeing the same kind of thing. The broccoli rabe, your opinion on a broccoli rabe?
I hate broccoli rabe.
Well, brother, you're gonna be enjoying some broccoli rabe today. Oh man. See, not too dry, or not too wet. But that looks like a moist little coating.
I'll pick out the broccoli rabe.
Yeah?
Yeah.
You're gonna get rid of the broccoli rabe?
I gotta get rid of the broccoli rabe. That's how I operate. I thought a roast pork was a roast pork. I didn't know broccoli rabe was come with the roast pork.
There's a broccoli rabe right on top of
the roast pork.
A lot of times they'll do like a long hot pepper too, and get a little spice, light you up a little bit. But those are no joke. And then the cheese here is important. I think is that a Cooper Sharp? Let me check and see what the cheese is. Oh, Sharp Probe. Ooh, Sharp Probe.
Sharp Probe along.
Sharp Probe. And you know it's legit because they got the fries in the bottom of the bag too.
Oh, the extra?
The
It's
extra.
a nice little touch.
A nice little touch. Maybe it's spilled, but maybe it's the extra.
The whiz is outstanding. They put some kind of spice in the meat. Whether it's, I don't know, just even stronger than salt and pepper. It's an unbelievable cheesesteak. Cheesesteak's lights out.
And same with this roast pork. I know you're not a crazy fan of the broccoli rabe. Like it's a bitterness. There's spice mixed in there. There's a bunch of peppers mixed in there. But the Sharp provolone gives it a whole new flavor, a whole new flavor profile. You're gonna love the sharp provolone. You can get rid of the broccoli rabe. It adds something though.
It's not like I've not had it. I've had broccoli rabe. I know that I don't like it. So I think that takes away from the sandwich. We give you this.
Okay.
Clean this up. I like that you can get it right out.
Ooh, some nice onions on here too.
The sharp probe with the
Incredible.
It's incredible. It's worth the stop.
Uh,
Thicker pieces of pork too.
thick pork, juicy pork, chopped up enough where you're not pulling out a long string of pork, which is a peccadillo of mine. Talk about the bread though.
Homemade. Has to be made this morning, or they get it from one of the major guys around the area. You know, this ain't no stale ass bread. That's what makes a sandwich. I'm hearing a lot of complaints. Chicago's breads are not up to par with the East Coast.
Dude, every city you go to, you ask why is the bread good, and every time they're like, it's the water. New York, why are the bagels good? It's the water. In Philly, like, why do you get good rolls at Sarcone's? They blame it on the water. Whatever they're putting into these, amazing. Locks it all in. You're not losing anything throughout. It's a whole different, you can give it a whole shake. Perfect bread.
Yeah, it's unbelievable.
So we gotta figure out what this is. Is it a dipping sauce? Just give it a dip just to see what it's like. I didn't even know there was a dip that comes with it.
That's real good. I think that's what they saute the pork in.
You got a little Christmas tree in there. Amazing, yeah, some kind of thin pork gravy.
And then the cheese, you keep going back to the cheesesteak. Cheesesteak's unbelievable. Which way are you leaning? Which one's better?
I'm going with the pork. Maybe that's confirmation bias. Cheesesteak is incredible, but this is elite roast pork. And it's a little bit more rare of a sandwich. I don't get a lot of cheesesteaks in New York as it is, but I get fewer roast pork, and this roast pork is fucking incredible, top to bottom. The cheese, I like the broccoli rabe. The bread's great. The quality of the meat, the quality of the pork, you know what I mean? It's like almost like a pulled pork type of vibe. So it's not like shaved or cut in a machine slicer, hand slicer or anything. It's just well sauteed, pulls apart. It's amazing.
The only thing I want to say is I think I'm leaning roast pork, but I don't want that to take away from the cheesesteak. If people come here and think they're getting a bet, like, if they don't think they're getting an elite cheesesteak, cheesesteak is knocking socks off. I just think the roast pork is a little bit better, to your point. I haven't seen it like thick slices like that. It's unbelievable.
Well, it's a 6-inch sandwich, so it's not crazy big.
No.
You get both.
Yes. This place holds up like you were in Philly.
100%. I mean, you wouldn't know that you weren't in Philly. From the vibe, from the look. Decorations in here, feels like Philly, feels Italian. Fedorov sounds like a, what's that, like a Russian name?
I think so.
Russian or something like that. Regardless though, fantastic, feels like South Philly, and it would hold up. If you're in South Philly, this is a fucking good sandwich, no matter where you are.
Hopefully it's Russian, not Albanian, you know?
What?
Hopefully it's Russian.
Hopefully it's Russian, not Albanian.
Oh,
Agreed.